You don't come. Welcome, oh. I beg, before we go begin this story, we go scatter your head. Make you do it in. Subscribe, sharp, sharp. Like the video, drop your sweet, sweet comments. No, they form. Now, beggar the beg, oh. Okay, now, sitting well.
Mama Titi owned the most beautiful mother care shop in the whole city. She called it Mama Titi's Little Angels. From the outside, it looked bright and safe. The windows were full of shiny toys, tiny shoes, and colourful baby blankets. Mothers loved coming there to buy things for their little ones. They trusted Mama Titi because she always greeted them with a warm smile and a sweet voice. No one guessed that behind her smile, she was hiding a dark secret. Inside the shop, she had a special back room. She never let anyone go inside it. That was where she did things to the baby items before putting them on display. Mama Titi believed that her power came from these secret actions. She would whisper strange words over the blankets and sprinkle a black powder that smelled like burnt leaves. She felt proud that nobody ever found out. One sunny morning, a young mother named Ada walked into Mama Titi's shop. She had a tiny baby boy named Titi, who always cried at night. Ada looked tired and worried. Mama Titi watched her from behind the counter and thought she was the perfect customer. She picked up a soft yellow blanket from the shelf. It was one of the blankets she had whispered over in her secret room. Ada touched the blanket and felt how warm it was. She didn't know that Mama Titi had already placed her curse inside it. Ada smiled and said she would buy it. Mama Titi wrapped it carefully in pretty paper and handed it over. She knew that as soon as Ada used the blanket, her troubles would only grow worse. That evening, Ada wrapped little Cheek in the soft yellow blanket. At first, he stopped crying and fell asleep peacefully. Ada felt relief for the first time in weeks. She thought Mama Titi had sold her something magical in a good way. She kissed her baby's cheek and turned off the light. But in the middle of the night, Cheek woke up screaming. Ada ran to pick him up. His skin felt too hot, and the blanket seemed to move on its own. She pulled it away quickly, thinking she was imagining things. She held Cheeky close to her heart and rocked him back to sleep, never guessing that the blanket was the reason he cried. As days passed, Ada began to hear whispers at night. The voice was soft and hard to understand. Sometimes it sounded like a woman singing a lullaby, and other times it was like someone was calling her name. The yellow blanket lay folded in the crib, looking innocent. Ada was afraid to touch it again, but she felt she had no choice. Every time she wrapped Cheeky in the blanket, he would stop crying for a while. But the whispers grew louder. Ada started to feel weak and dizzy during the day. She didn't know the blanket was stealing her strength a little at a time. Far away in her shop, Mama Titi smiled to herself, feeling stronger with each passing night. One morning, Ada decided to go back to the shop. She hoped Mama Titi could explain what was happening. When she walked in, Mama Titi welcomed her with the same warm smile. She asked if the blanket had helped. Ada hesitated but nodded slowly. She was too afraid to speak the truth. Mama Titi pretended to be happy. She took Ada's hands in hers and told her she was a good mother. But inside, she felt pleased that her plan was working. Every time a mother used her cursed items, a little piece of their life force flowed back to her. That was how Mama Titi stayed young and powerful. Business was better than ever. Every day, more mothers came into the shop. They trusted Mama Titi because she seemed kind and wise. They told their friends about her wonderful blankets and toys. Nobody guessed that their children's cries and their own tiredness were part of her secret plan. Mama Titi kept her back room locked. Each night, she prepared new items. She used old books full of spells she had learned from her grandmother. She believed she was doing what she must to keep her life easy and long. She never felt sorry for the mothers who came to her. After a few weeks, Ada felt weaker than ever. She could hardly stand up some mornings. She started to wonder if the blanket was the problem. One night, she decided to sleep without it. For the first time, Chike slept through the night without crying. Ada felt a cold fear in her heart. She knew she needed to learn the truth. In the morning, she folded the yellow blanket and put it in a bag. She was going back to Mama Titi's shop to ask her what she had done. Ada didn't care if she sounded foolish. She needed to protect her baby. When Ada arrived, Mama Titi was standing behind her counter counting money. Ada put the bag on the counter and said she thought the blanket was cursed. Mama Titi's smile froze. For the first time, she looked angry. She told Ada she was imagining things, and that babies often cry for no reason. Ada refused to leave. She begged Mama Titi to tell her the truth. The shop felt darker than before, as if the shadows were moving closer. Mama Titi realized she had made a mistake by letting Ada come back. She knew she had to find a way to silence her. Mama Titi leaned closer and spoke in a cold voice. She warned Ada not to talk about curses, or she would regret it. Ada felt her heart pounding in her chest. She knew she was in danger, but she could not leave without answers. She picked up the blanket and held it out again, demanding to know what it really was. For a moment, Mama Titi looked into Ada's eyes. Something old and cruel flickered there. Then, with a sweet voice, she promised to take the blanket back and replace it. But Ada knew better. She clutched it to her chest and walked out of the shop, feeling Mama Titi's gaze burning into her back. That night, Ada sat by her baby's crib. She knew she could never use the blanket again. She wanted to burn it, but she was afraid it might release something worse. She thought about all the other mothers who trusted Mama Titi and wondered how many were suffering like her. She made a decision. She would find someone who could help her break the curse. She kissed Chike's forehead and promised him she would fix everything. Far away, Mama Titi sat alone in her shop, planning what to do next. She would not let her secret be exposed. Ada woke up early and wrapped the cursed blanket in a thick cloth. She decided to visit an old woman named Mama Nkechi, who people said knew about charms and spirits. Ada had never believed in witchcraft before, but now she felt she had no choice. She had to protect her son. When Ada arrived, Mama Nkechi was sitting outside her small house, sorting herbs. She looked up with wise, tired eyes. Ada felt nervous but told her everything about the blanket, the crying, and the whispers. Mama Nkechi listened carefully. When Ada finished, she nodded slowly and said, "This cloth holds a dark spirit." Mama Nkechi took the blanket into her hands. She closed her eyes and began to hum in a low voice. The air around them grew cold. Ada watched, her heart beating fast. Suddenly, Mama Nkechi's eyes flew open. She said the spirit in the blanket was feeding on Ada's strength and her baby's life. Ada felt like she would faint. She asked what she could do to break the curse. Mama Nkechi said it was dangerous to destroy such a thing without care. If the spirit was set free wrongly, it might follow Ada home or find a new victim. Ada realized she had to be brave if she wanted to save her child. That night, Mama Nkechi built a fire in a metal pot behind her house. She told Ada to stay back. She placed the blanket carefully in the flames. At first, nothing happened, but then black smoke rose up, swirling into strange shapes. Ada heard faint crying inside the smoke, and she covered her ears. When the fire died, Mama Nkechi scooped up the ashes. She whispered a prayer and scattered them on the wind. Ada felt a heavy weight lift from her chest. Mama Nkechi looked at her sadly and warned her that Mama Titi would know the curse had been broken. Ada knew she was now Mama Titi's enemy. Back in her shop, Mama Titi was arranging baby shoes when she suddenly felt her power weaken. She knew at once what had happened. Someone had destroyed her work. She clenched her hands so tightly her nails cut into her skin. Her friendly smile was gone, replaced by cold fury. Mama Titi walked into her secret room and lit a small lamp. She opened a big black book full of spells. She whispered an oath that she would punish Ada for daring to ruin her plans. The shadows on the walls seemed to dance and grow, as she promised herself she would never lose again. Ada tried to go back to her normal life, but every night she felt like someone was watching her house. She kept all the doors locked and slept with a light on. Sometimes she thought she saw a figure moving near her window, but when she looked, there was nothing there. One evening she heard footsteps outside. She ran to the door, holding her baby close. When she opened it, no one was there, but on the ground was a small doll dressed in baby clothes. Ada picked it up and felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew Mama Titi had sent it as a warning. Ada took the doll to Mama Nkechi. The old woman held it carefully and said it was full of bad magic. She told Ada that Mama Titi was trying to frighten her into silence. Ada felt her hands shake. She asked if she should leave the city, but Mama Nkechi said running away would not break the curse. Ada looked at her baby, sleeping in a cloth on her back. She knew she had to stay strong for him. She promised herself she would never set foot in Mama Titi's shop again. But deep in her heart, she was afraid of what Mama Titi might do next.